Hey, Internet, how's it going? My name is Andrew, otherwise known as Drewicious. I am here to talk more about stock shit. So I hope that's why you're here. We are doing a kind of a quick video tonight. I'm not going to go, we're not doing the basement journal or anything like that. I wanted to spend a little bit of time addressing some questions I've been getting about screening process. We are definitely not going into depth for my entire process because it takes a couple hours. It's exhausting to do. I've already done it for tonight, and I just wanted to put together a quick video to talk a little bit about it, to share some things, and then if this gets a good feedback, then maybe we'll do some more sessions on this in the future. But for now, I just wanted to spend a little bit of time going through one of my scans, talking about what I'm looking for, how I determine, what I'm going to put in as an alert when I am going through this process. And then hopefully you guys will be able to pick something out of that. This is my second take on this video, so I'm going to definitely try to do it quicker. The last one went longer than necessary because I ramble a lot. So let's take a look here, guys. In the background, we've got ThinkOrSwim. It is my broker of choice for the majority of my trading, and I am a lazy man, so I'm not interested in going out and using a bunch of other services. There are far better screening tools available on the internet. TradingView, FinViz, bar chart, like you name it. There's all sorts of stuff out there. I do not want to go to all of those all the time. So I have attempted to put together effective screeners that allow me to do my screening where I do my trading, which is ThinkOrSwim. So we're going to go through my favorite scan. I'm going to talk a little bit about what I've got in here, why I've got it in here. We're going to take a look at some of the results. I'm going to talk about what I'm looking for when I see those results. And, on the previous run of this video, I actually ended up adding a new ticker to the alert list. We'll stumble across it today and pretend that we're surprised. I'll pretend that I'm surprised, and you guys can watch me pretend to be surprised. That's the best I got for you. So here in the background, we've got on the scan tab of ThinkOrSwim. Now, I do want to say the principles that I use here can be applied on a lot of the other screening tools as well. So it's not that I'm doing anything that's super special sauce about ThinkOrSwim here. These are all concepts and principles that apply to any scanner. And also, I will try to call out where my preferences are not necessarily preferences you should care about, but I'll tell you why they're my preferences, and I'll try to tell you why they'd be valuable if you want to look at them some other ways as well. All right, so I will do my best to be objective. We'll see. So here in the background, we've got my favorite scan. So I've got a number of scans that I go through pretty much at the end of every day, sometimes at the start of every week, just to try and help me locate plays I'm interested in, right? I'm looking for familiar patterns. So if you don't like my patterns, that's cool. Find your own patterns that you like, right? And but my goal here is not to get you to do what I'm doing. It's to show you and share with you a little bit my thought process about how I got down to the stuff that I'm looking at here, so that you can decide what you're interested in as you start to do your scanning and find your own plays, right? I will continue putting my plays out there for you to consume, but maybe you don't like them and you want your own, and that's totally fine. I respect that. All right, so of all of these plays, we're going to come down here. We're just going to look at my inside bar scan. Those of you who know me, you know that I'm a huge fan of inside bars. I got turned onto them from a trader I know and respect very well, who's got an R on his shirt. Huh? I won't give his name away here, but he has an R on his shirt. Yeah. So inside bars, the reason I've got a whole video on why I like inside bars and what they mean, and I deep dive them a little bit more. But what I'll say here is essentially inside bars. They are it's a pattern of consolidation where the current bar fits completely inside of its parent bar or the previous bar, right? So the high and the low fit completely inside of the last bar that just got printed. And basically it indicates market indecision. And it can indicate, especially depending on the type of pattern that forms, that a big move is coming because there's consolidation coming. So there's a very reliable setup, and it is kind of one of the first spots I go when I'm looking to see what my plays are for the next day. So we're going to step through kind of all the things that I've got in here, why I've got them, and then we're going to look at the results. We're going to talk about what I do once I find those results, and then we're going to call it a night because I want to go to bed, and I'm sure you do too, unless you're watching this while you're drinking your coffee, in which case don't go to bed afterwards. You do you. So here in the scan tab on ThinkOrSwim, I'm currently inside of the stock hacker. Now they got a stock hacker and option hacker. They're very similar. They have slightly different options, and depending on what you do with the given scan, you will flip from one to the other if you put in an options filter. But essentially what you have the ability to do here is start to define qualifications of the tickers, the many, many tickers that are out there, ETF, stocks, futures, all of them, that you're interested in looking at. And what I have done here is built something. So I've gone in here in the condition group right now. I'm sorry, we're not to the condition group yet. I'll touch on that in just a second. I've added some filters here. And if you click the add filter button, you can see you can filter on stock stuff, option stuff, fundamentals, specific studies, and patterns, right? All of those are available. I'm not going to go into all of the details of each of those, but each of them has very unique ways of looking at the market. And I use all of them. Frankly, I have scans that use, I'm not going to say I have a scan that uses all of them, but I have scans that use all of those features. They all are useful depending on what you're trying to do. In this case, and you can see over here in my filters that I have several stocks, one option, and several studies, right? So that's what this one is doing. And this is a fairly simple study. And we're going to go through each of them. So I've got market cap. Really, I'm only interested in, and you can see over here, like when you select one, a study or a stock value here, you end up with kind of an upper and a lower bound, and you get a little slider here in the middle that you can move around. You can see that at 1,000, oh, that was a little higher here, somewhere up in that neighborhood. I am above average. So I'm looking for above average market cap. In stock volume, I am currently only interested in stocks that are trading 3 million or more transactions per day. And you can see on the slider that that's really pretty up here, right? So I'm really looking at high volume stocks because I want highly liquid assets that I can trade against. I only want to see stocks that have a value over $20. Now, sometimes I'll lower this to like 10 or 15, depending on what kind of day it is and if I've got some really good looking things. But generally above 20 is kind of where I'm more comfortable. And you can see that's quite low, right? We can definitely move up here a lot higher to filter those out. But I'm not interested in playing like a Berkshire Hathaway in here. It will crush my account. Sorry, I'm wearing out my throat talking so much. And then I've got an options volume here. Now, I've actually started preferring 3,000. We're going to change that here while we're doing our scan here. But those are all kind of the default things. And you can come in here, you can add any one of those that you want as you're building out your scan. And as I mentioned before, right, stock, and option, right? So those all correspond to these options here. Now, you can also see that I've got 2 study options here. Now, the first one, this is the one that actually defines my inside bar. Why is my throat so dry? It's because it's the second video of the night and I can't drink enough wine to keep up. I'll try another sip, see if that helps. Now, this study here is in, and I'm not actually sure. I think you guys can't actually see the code here, but you can see it here, right? But essentially, and you can do this in a lot of the other scanners. Define a variable that you are looking for a candle whose high is lower than the previous high and whose low is higher than the previous low. That's the inside candle, right? We're completely engulfed by the previous candle. So this study here finds all my inside candles across the entire market. And then I've got this other study down here called ATRP. Now I need to do a little bit of explaining on this one, but Actually, I'm not going to do a lot of explaining with it. I will do another video on ATRP. But ATR is the average true range. ATRP is the average true range divided by the price. And essentially what, I'm sorry, I think it's actually the other way around. The price divided by the average true range. So essentially what I'm looking for there is the ratio of the average move to the price, right? Which, depending if you think about it right, essentially will tell me how big a percent move I might be able to expect on a given day, right? And as an options trader or an intraday trader, I'm looking for big moves. So the ATRP filter helps me get rid of tickers that are moving too slow. Now, in this case, I only have an ATRP of less than 60, which is a reasonable number if you're looking at ETFs and stocks. Anything above that, it just moves too slow. And anything below like 10 or 20 starts to be a little whippy. Now, I also like that in certain scans, and I do have a scan in here that specifically looks for very low ARTP values, but that's not this one. So those are the things that I'm using to generate this list of tickers. And I check this scan every night. At least every night that I'm able to do scanning, is the first one I come to. And if you look at any of my alerts, I always talk about inside bars, outside bars. It's because I'm looking at this scan. This is the scan that makes that happen. So back to it, ran this scan here. These are the results. So typically once, and I've, if you look, depending on how you have, your setup, I actually come in here and I will come through and I will change out between my different scans, right? Like a lot of these, and you can see these little symbols here all indicate, I don't know if you can see this either, I guess. It turns out that when I click on things here, you guys aren't able to see them on the video. I will look into that, I promise. But over here in the watch list, I have the ability to come in and look directly at the dynamic results of my scans, like this one here. And as you can see, this list is identical, the one inside of the scanner and the one inside of the watch list over here. And then essentially I just come to my charts and I start looking at each of these different results to see if there's something here that I'm interested in. And so I'm looking for patterns, I'm looking for levels, I'm kind of looking across it, trying to see if there's anything here that indicates to me that there's a likelihood or a possibility of something. And sometimes that can be that, it really looks like it's about to drop, or it doesn't look like it's going to happen, but if it does, it's going to be a big move. There are a number of different things that I am looking for in here, and I try to explain what I see in my alerts in the notes, right? I always put my thesis in here to try and help explain what it is I'm interested in, so that, if you're a newer trader, you can kind of you can see what I'm writing down, and you can come look at the chart and see if you too can see it. My hope is that that those are partly educational. It's what I'm shooting for. I don't know if I hit it, but, so as I come through these lists here, right? So I looked at this one here, OVV. I'm not terribly familiar with it. If I look at the trade, the chain is very thin, right? There's a lot of activity here on the put. So maybe a lot of people either responding to, well, it was an upper day, so a lot of people kind of piled into, to some put. So, folks are expecting this to come back down, and I can understand why, because they're sitting on top of a gap here. But this thing is not interesting to me. It is not liquid enough for me to feel like I want to take a shot at it. TCOM, inside bar, a little bit of move. RSI is up here a little bit. MACD is starting to curl, but still has room to go up if it wants to. If we take a look at the options trades again, not as liquid as I'd like to see. A fair amount of people jumping into calls here. We can see that there's actually the call index. Well, there's elevation on both call index and put index. A lot of people getting into puts and calls. Right? So actually a lot of folks disagreeing about where this is going to go next, right? But it's pretty up here. It definitely could continue to go higher. This thing may very well react to market news or not. I don't know. I don't know much about the ticker. Don't care. I'm not taking a play on it. PFE, this is actually one I looked at this one in the last run of this video, and I added it. And I'll tell you why I'm interested in it. So we got this this big downtrend here that has been intact since like April of this year, right? So we have a big downtrend that's got 1, 2, 3, 4, almost 5, 6, like 7 or 8 touches, right? So this has been a fairly reliable trend line since April. We had another kind of consolidation line coming up here. We broke down, we came back up, we bounced off of it, we came back up again, we got over, we came back down and tested it, and we came back off, right? So I mean, so this is really like it's a nice set. You can see that this trend line means something, and but we're up here. We can see that the RSI is getting a little overbought, right? That doesn't mean that it can't keep going, right? But it does indicate that we've been on a trend for a while, and maybe there's an opportunity here for a breather. What I also see is that, and if we zoom in here a little bit, I see that there's a gravestone doji up here. So we went up, we tried to go higher, sellers rejected all of this movement. You can see that down here in this indicator. Now, by the way, guys, a lot of these indicators are kind of custom or non-default indicators. I've got an inside bar indicator up here. You know, these white bars are outside bars, these gray bars are inside bars. And this is also a sell pressure indicator. It basically just shows you volume. But it shows you what parts of those volume were buying and selling, or what was bid side and ask side. So a lot of times these stories can be seen in the wicks of the candles, but I still like to see it. I like to see it. I like to look for patterns inside of where the buyers and the sellers are moving inside of the volume. These indicators are all available on my website, drewsbasement.com. If you guys go there, it's free. I'm not charging you anything like that. But you can go to drewsbasement.com. These indicators are all available. And in fact, I just added the inside swim as well. I'm sorry, the inside candle ThinkOrSwim. I'm just putting words together. I think it's the wine that I'm using to soothe my throat. But the inside candle scan is also available on the site. So you guys can go out there, just go to ThinkOrSwim if you haven't done it before. And I'm going to do a thing here that you aren't going to be able to see. But up here, if you click this button here, there is a... I'm sorry, it's the one right below it, this one here. You can import settings. So you can import studies, you can share stuff. It's really cool. They got a whole built-in sharing feature inside of ThinkOrSwim. So if you are a ThinkOrSwim user, you can go out and grab some of these things. Sorry, back to our regular scheduled programming. So here, what I saw here was big move up, kind of getting oversold, overbought, gravestone doji, and then an inside doji. So a couple of signs of reversal possible here. Now we're heading into a week of many catalysts. So all of this technical analysis is probably irrelevant, frankly, right? Like whatever the CPI news tomorrow drops, it's not going to help any of this out. So I'm comfortable with that. But if CPI aligns with what is going on here, which is indications of a potential reversal, this thing could drop pretty hard, right? And so as I look at the ATR, I can see that we average about a move about a point a day, and I can see that the beta is quite low, which indicates to me that this is a low volatility sticker, volatility ticker. My God. So I don't expect this ticker to move a ton. So it, low beta to me indicates a good swing opportunity. And this ATR is not real huge. It's what would that be, like a 2% per day type of move. And that math I did there real quick, that's ATRP, right? The ATR, right? We could move $1 on a $50 ticker. That's 2% move, right? So that's what ATRP does. So am I interested in this? Yeah, absolutely. Right. If we come down, you can see I set an alert here. I have an alert here for PFE. If Pfizer comes below 51.60, I'm interested. Right. Gravestone inside doji, we could see 50 or more. So let's go back and take a look at that, right? There's our gravestone, there's our doji. If this thing comes down, we're going to eat up some of our ATR getting down to break that level, right? So we closed at 52.16. In order to break through this thing, we're going to get down to 51.16. That eats up most of our ATR of 1. So Are we going to get down to 50 in one day? I mean, on a big mover day, we definitely could, right? The range on this thing here was 184, right? So a buck 84 on this one when our average range is 1. So this is an above average range day. This one's only 84 cents. So this is a below average range day. So we might be a little built up here, and we might be able to get above average range on a move, and we could drop down here to 50. Wouldn't be out of the question for us to just come back down and test. We could come back down and test this line here down to 49, right? We could come down to 49 without breaking our bullish trend on the way up here. So we have some possibilities, but that's what I'm looking for when I come in, right? I come through, I do my scan, I look at the list, I jump into the charts, I start clicking through these things to see what I'm interested in. This is actually another interesting one. I think I had this one on my list earlier and I took it off because I felt like my list was getting a little cluttered. But yeah, look at this one. If we extend this trend line here that has been in place for a while, look at where that down. It comes right here. And look at what it did, guys. Is that we had a big move down, kind of bounced right off of this trend line. The only fault I had here was not having my trend line far enough out. It came down, kind of bounced right off the trend line here, guys. And depending on where we go here, right, we could come up here and get some more touches right about in there. This is an art, not a science, right? But somewhere in here, right, we came down, we hit this, we had a strong move back up, although on lower volume. And granted, the spread was high on this. It was a big all sell day, followed by an all buy day, lower spread, lower volume. So, I mean, I'm not sure what this very well could just indicate continuation, but we could come down here and we could make a move. Now, I'm not going to add this one to the list, but I'm just walking you through my process, right? I see a trend line. I see us coming underneath, a moving average. I think this one is a 20 moving average. And we got a strong bar here, and looking at the range on this one's 221, which is above average. This one was also 3.7, also above average range. So this one might be due for a little bit of a consolidation. Again, catalyst coming tomorrow. Probably not going to be a subtle move. This one's probably going to do something, but not one I'm going to go ahead and take because it just there's not enough here to indicate to me other than this kind of, now that I just noticed this head and shoulders pattern here. So we've already kind of confirmed that. So I'm not looking for it to go any further, but yeah, we definitely could come down. Maybe you want to close this gap a little bit more. I don't know. It could do something. It doesn't look like it's going to do enough to get me excited, so I'm just going to keep moving. Right, shell, I look at it, we're kind of hanging around the moving average. We got an inside bar. There's kind of a lot of structure in this area. I don't see enough here for me to get excited about. Apple, I am a little bit more interested in. We had an outside day. If we come to take a look at this one, we had an outside day. We have an inside day. So we have 2 days of consolidation. So outside days, guys, for those of you who don't know, it's basically the opposite of an inside day, right? It's where the candle, and you can see it right here, where the high and the low of the candle engulf the candle before it, right? So it is both higher and lower than the previous day. And now we had a candle that does the exact opposite. Now we have a candle that is where the high and the low are inside. So we have an outside inside setup. So it's 2 days of consolidation, which means that we are building up more and more potential for a move, right? So you can look at this a little bit like a spring getting compressed, right? There's a bunch of traders getting into a smaller and smaller range. That can lead us to a more explosive move. So that's what I'm looking for, and it's part of why I'm really interested in these things. So Apple, yeah, I am kind of interested, right? It's biggest stock on the market, and it is a bellwether for where we're going. We got a bunch of trend lines that we're moving within here, right? So right now we're kind of dealing with this major upper trend line that we haven't been able to break out of here for a while. We've got this COVID low swing that's way up here, up high, and we're just kind of like hanging out below the 20-day moving average, right? So the reason I added this one is if we get good news tomorrow, and we have several catalysts coming up this week. We have FOMC, we have options expiration, so we got a lot going on. If we get some good news, I think that this thing has a potential to break out. So I'm interested in knowing if it goes up. Now, conversely, and as I say this, I should probably set one on the other end, right? Because like right at this level, we're going to lose support, right? And 139, so about 140-ish here. you know, we could lose support. And on a ticker, if we go back over to average true range, we're going to move about $4.50 per day. Now, this is the ATR is going to get used up, right? So we closed up here at the top of this candle, and the reason I like this setup more than the bottom side setup is because we don't have as far to travel to break the top of this outside bar in front of us, which means that we still have plenty of our average true range left in order to make a move up, right? So that is my, like, I'm looking at risk to reward there. I can use a little bit of my range here, and I still have plenty of range left to get up here to run into some of these structures, right? So that's what I'm looking for. In order for me to make a break down here, I've got to travel all the way to the bottom of this candle, using up a lot of my range. And then I've got to get through these candles, using up even more of my range. And on an average day, I'd expend a lot of my average range of the day getting down here. Now, like on that last ticker, we saw you can definitely still have above average range days. And on a bad news day, we will definitely have an above average range day. So could I set an alert down here and say, hey, tell me if we come down below these candles? We could. I'm not gonna. Because I'm mostly interested in this play, and I got plenty on my list already. I don't want more. I'm not trying to get more on my list. So I'm interested in this play because it is cambered in my favor, and I like the risk to reward. And down here is going to be good, right? And because the truth is, if we break through this, if we break all the way through this, it's going to get ugly. And I'll be playing other stuff. I got other bottom side or downside plays already lined up. So it's okay. I don't have to get them all. But that's what I'm looking for here. So I think I'm going to probably bring it to a close here, guys. I hope that that's helpful. If you have questions about how to use the scanner, about why I'm picking certain values, if you want to debate whether my values could be better, if you want to take these things and go play with them, go to Drew's basement, pull down the inside scanner, do your best. If you make a better version of it, share it back with me. I want to hear. I don't know everything. You're going to figure out some stuff I didn't figure out, and I want to hear about it. So leave a comment below. Please click like if you get a chance. Thanks for hanging around this long, and I hope you guys will come back for some other videos. If you like this one, let me know. I can do some other videos on some of the other scanner types I have. I can talk through some of those. I have some entertaining scanners in here that I've been building, sometimes with other traders as well. So I'd love to go through them if it's useful to you guys. If it's not, then I'll find something else to do. I might just finish my wine. What do you care? You're not the boss of me. All right, internet, I gotta go. Hope you guys have a good rest of whatever part of the day it is that you watch this thing. I will catch you on the next video if you stick around. And if not, bye anyway. See ya.